You know, I don't understand you. Director Labels makes plenty of money. She can support you just fine. Why don't you run on back home and get back to your classic housework and cooking? Why are you trying to steal work from the rest of us?
You're worthless. If it wasn't for the fact that your wife is the boss, I would have fired you a long time ago. Do you think you could earn the same salary as those guys for doing nothing? Macklemore, this is your last chance. If you can sell 100 properties by tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, then you can stay. I'll even give you a promotion. If you don't, then you have to pack your stuff and leave.
Mr. Earl, don't you think you're being a little impractical?
She asked.
Do you think those numbers are actually...
Don't say anything.
Peter interrupted Natalia coldly.
Director Labels, it was because of this idiot that our sales department became the laughingstock of the Philly group, and even the entire San Clemente real estate industry. Therefore, I have a responsibility to my team that can't be avoided.
Peter stood up straight and announced.
By 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, if your useless husband can't sell 100 properties, then he'll be kicked out, and you'll be dragged out along with him.
Looking at Peter's malicious smile, Fraser had the urge to punch the man in his smug face. But when he saw Natalia's unsteady feet, he rushed forward to support her.
You all right?
He asked softly. Natalia was still in a daze. She had come to the company soon after graduating from college and had worked hard to reach her current position. Now, in the blink of an eye, it could all be lost because of the ultimatum to her husband. Have all these years of hard work just gone down the drain? She wondered. If I lose my job over this, how will we support ourselves? Will I have to rely on my useless husband? This joke was quickly becoming not funny at all. The more Natalia thought about it, the angrier she got. She almost slapped Fraser.
Everything is going wrong because of you!
Oh, Natalia. What's wrong? You angry again?
Asked a voice from afar. When Fraser turned and saw the young man, his expression darkened. Was dressed extravagantly. Even the sunglasses he wore were worth hundreds of dollars. He was Moss Ferlin, a junior executive of the Philly Group. During Fraser's 3 months in his new position, he had seen Moss harass his wife countless times. It was a good thing that Natalia had some keen observation skills and could defend herself. Every time Moss tried to pester her, she was able to avoid his moves with great ingenuity and rationality. Regardless, it was annoying, and now that he had appeared at this awkward moment, Fraser had a bad feeling.
Dr. Naples, what's going on?
Moss asked in a strange tone. Before Natalia could respond, Peter stepped up and immediately explained the situation. Moss nodded and agreed, but paused thoughtfully before asking.
But Mr. Earl, aren't you being a little too heartless? Especially involving our lovely director, Naples, in your threat?
Moss thought about it for a while and came to a conclusion, saying,
See, how about this? Let me take care of this little situation for now. Let's tell you. So you worked really hard to get where you are with the company. And I appreciate your hard work. You should understand this without me even saying anything. So you have dinner with me tomorrow evening. We're going to discuss how we're going to proceed. Perhaps I can think of a way for you to get a promotion. I think it's supposed to be cold tomorrow. So be sure to bring your stockings.
Fraser wasn't stupid either. He naturally understood the hidden meaning behind the junior executive's words.
Do you think I don't exist?
He could let a lot of things slide, but when it came to his wife and her dignity, there was no way he could tolerate such a behavior. Fraser was about to explode.
Stop it, Fraser. Don't you think you've caused me enough trouble already?
She turned away before anyone could see the embarrassment on her face. She was confused and didn't know what to do. Glancing at Fraser again, Moss grinned. He leaned over and whispered,
Might as well tell you. I've taken a fancy to your wife, and I plan to sleep with her. And someone like you can't stop me. I just simply can't compete.
Moss left with a burst of laughter while Fraser kept his head down. He dug his fingernails angrily into the flesh of his palms. Moss had completely embarrassed him and trampled all over his dignity. Later that evening, after Fraser had left work, he stood on the bridge and watched the flow of traffic below, his mind lost in thought. As his thoughts coalesced, his gaze grew colder and more determined.
No matter how wrong I am, I can still endure it. But if anyone goes after Natalia, all bets are off. I'll personally send them to hell.
He took out his phone, found a number he hadn't used in years, and clicked on the call icon. The phone quickly connected, and an excited voice could be heard from the other end of the line.
When I picked up the phone and I saw who was calling, I couldn't believe it. Is it really you, my young friend? You actually called. Did you know I was...
Fraser interrupted the person on the other end of the line.
Uncle Sam, I'm in some trouble right now. I need your help.
What? Someone's trying to harm you? Of course I can send.
No, it's not that troublesome. Just need money to solve this problem. I need a few $1 million.
Old Sam sighed in relief.
You gave me such a scare. Look, forget about the money. Whatever you need, it's yours. But...
He hesitated.
No need to say anything more. I understand that since I'm asking for help, my decision to separate myself from the family becomes invalid. But I can't return just yet.
Uncle Sam was excited to hear Fraser's words. He had been waiting to hear them for years.
Good. This wouldn't be a problem. As long as you agree to return to the family, everything will be fine. You know, of all the successes for the Macklemore family, the one your father values the most is you.
Fraser became silent for a moment. He really didn't want to talk about this topic. He cleared his throat and tried to get the conversation back on track.
How long till the money gets here? You should still know the private account information, right?
However, Uncle Sam was still going on about the family.
Fraser, I won't hide it from you. After your father found out you were in San Clemente, he secretly purchased the largest company there, in your name. You have plenty of money. You can just go and take over the company.
Hearing that, Fraser pursed his lips. It seemed that even though he had been away from home for many years, his father was still thinking about him. Otherwise, according to the nature of the Macklemore family, they wouldn't have even considered buying a business in a place as small as San Clemente.
You'll also be interested to know that a member of the Orange County Chamber of Commerce has ties to the family, as well as companies and businesses in the local area also having strong connections to the family.
Okay, thanks for the heads up. We'll talk again soon. It looks like the days ahead are going to be far from peaceful.
Members of the wealthy class never seemed to be able to escape from their obligations. Fraser had chosen to leave his family because he didn't want to live a life of deception. But now, he had to face it bravely because his wife was being bullied. After letting out a long puff of smoke, he put out the cigarette and tossed it into the garbage. He then got into his car and drove to a corporate headquarters building across town. It was one of the largest companies in San Clemente, and he had been here many times during the past 3 months because he had been in charge of distributing and putting up flyers. The two women who worked at the front desk always gave him a hard time. Fraser walked into the lobby on the first floor and was immediately noticed by the two women.
Fraser, it's you again.
You really have some nerve coming here again and again.
Well, don't come in. You're not allowed here anymore. Look at the notice.
Take a good look.
You've been put on our blacklist, and I designed this announcement myself. How about that?
Fraser craned his head and saw that under his photo there was a short blurb. He read it silently. Fraser, a useless salesperson at the Philly Group, has repeatedly snuck into our office area to distribute unwanted flyers. This worthless person, whose wife has repeatedly cheated on him, is not welcome in the building. Recently, the women's restroom has been subjected to a peeping Tom, and we suspect that Fraser is the culprit. As such, he has been put on the company's blacklist. If anyone sees him on the premises, contact security or a staff member immediately. After reading the description, Fraser frowned and thought, if they don't want me to put up flyers, that's fine, but why drag my name through the mud? Fraser took a deep breath and resisted the urge to lower himself to the level of the two women at the desk. He ignored the notice and said coolly,
Tell Mr. Wilson I'd like to see him. Now, who is here to see Mr. Wilson?
Asked a voice from behind them. At that moment, a balding middle-aged man walked out. When he saw Fraser, he heaved a sigh and said,
Ah, so it's you. What are you doing here? Still trying to sell properties? Maybe you're trying to sell your own property. Here's a bit on the smaller side. Do you think my boss would like that? You are a fool.
Mr. Cole, I agree. Do you want me to call the security?
One of the women at the desk piped up. She reached for the desk phone and started pressing the buttons. Fraser said calmly,
Well, you're right about one thing. I am here to sell your boss my home. In fact, I don't want to sell him one property. I'm going to sell him 100.
With that, Fraser took out his cell phone and directly called Henry Wilson, the corporation's president. His tone was full of arrogance as he ordered Henry to meet him in the lobby on the first floor within 3 minutes.
You want to sell the boss 100 properties. I'll tell you what, if you're successful in selling your properties to Mr. Wilson, I will kneel down and I will lick your shoes in front of everybody here.
Robert was overjoyed at the foolishness of the young man. As soon as he said that, security guards rushed in. Robert was in no mood to waste any more words on Fraser. He impatiently waved his hand.
Not you again.
One of the guards cried as he recognized Fraser.
You may have gotten away from us last time, but you won't escape so easily this time.
Both guards advanced on Fraser as they pulled out their nightsticks to give him a beating. He stood and watched them step closer, a somber expression on his face.
All of you, stop.
Shouted a stern voice from nearby. The security guards froze, as did everyone else.
Mr. Wilson, what are you doing here? Can I help you with anything?
All eyes turned to the front desk, where Henry Wilson was standing, watching the unprofessional scene unfolding before him with disdain.
Why are you still standing there? Fraser, get lost.
Henry's eyes widened in shock when he heard Fraser's name, and he stared at the young man before him. It's him? He thought in wonder. It's really him? Henry snapped.
Get lost. You are the ones who should get lost. You fools.
You bunch of idiots. Do you know who he is?
He looked around at Robert and the others, his expression livid. Fraser jumped in to interrupt. He didn't want too many people to know his identity just yet.
Mr. Wilson, I presume. I hope that you are available to meet me tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning at the sales department of the Philly Group to personally buy from me 100 properties.
Robert stared in shock. Had Fraser really asked his boss to purchase so many properties? He found himself even more startled a few moments later when Mr. Wilson spoke.
No problem, Mr. McMore. I'll be there on time.
The onlookers gasped and murmured to one another. Fraser turned his gaze on the stunned manager.
Well, now, Mr. Cole, I am an honorable man, but I don't think it's necessary for you to kneel down and lick my shoe. After all, your mouth is too dirty and smelly.
He glanced and saw that it was almost 6. He mumbled something incoherent about cooking dinner and hurried out. Henry watched in concentration as the young man left. Was he actually saying something about having to cook dinner? Why would someone of his power need to go home and cook something? He started to call out the young man questioningly, but saw that he had already sped away.
Mr. Wilson, are you sure about this? This man Fraser, he's not trustworthy. This might be a mistake.
Henry turned his cold glare on Robert.
I think you are the one who's making the mistake. Head to accounts and pick up your last paycheck. We won't be here tomorrow. That's all.
To listen to the full audio series, install the Pocket FM app now.